Here's what's happening today in LA.
We have some breaking news that we continue to follow the wildfire emergency that's happening right now. Fires reach the coast as thousands more are evacuating overnight. More than 14,000 homes and buildings are in danger. The fire's raging out of control, and this morning the urgent fight to save lives and to save homes. Why the next 12 hours are critical for firefighters. Our team coverage continues right now.
This is Today in LA at 5 with breaking news.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the devastating wildfires. I'm Daniela Guzman.
And I'm Wade Johnson. Let's get right to the latest on these fires. We want to take you out live over the Creek Fire in Sylmar right now. That fire, 11,000 acres, 0% contained. We know that there are about 800 firefighters working on this, and a number of structures have been destroyed. This is just one of 4 fires that we're covering for you this morning.
Also, take a look at this map right here. It shows where the fires are burning right now. The biggest are the Thomas Fire in Ventura County and the Creek Fire that's in the Sylmar area. There are 2 other fires burning right now, the Rye Fire that's in Santa Clarita and the Little Mountain Fire near San Bernardino.
Altogether, these fires have scorched more than 72,000 acres. More than 180 buildings have been destroyed, and that number is expected to grow. Overnight, the number of people ordered to evacuate grew to 160,000 people, and more than 2,600 firefighters are on the front lines.
Our entire team is out there covering this fire emergency for you. And the big problem right now continues to be the dangerous Santa Ana winds. So let's get right over to meteorologist Shauna Mendiola. And Shauna, the wind has died down for now, but it will pick back up.
That's right, and that's why we talk about the next 12 hours being so critical, because the firefighters are getting a break from those sustained winds that have gotten up to 70 miles per hour outside.
We want to get some breaking news to you right now. We are looking at a 5th fire burning right now in Southern California. This is near the 405 and Getty Center. We have our news chopper over this fire. Lots of smoke, lots of orange flames. NBC4's Ileana Moreno over it right now. Liana, how big is this?
Yeah, Daniela, we're still working to get closer. Incredibly, we're all the way in Van Nuys, and we're looking over towards the Sepulveda Pass, and that's what you're seeing here. I'll go ahead and pull the shot out just so that you can see what I'm seeing. We're still several miles out, to be honest, and I'm hearing over our fire scanner that this fire is already 6 acres and moving uphill. So you can imagine the impact that this is going to have for our commute on the 405 freeway this morning. I'm sure Alicia is already all over this one. I can show you the 405 right here. You can see the 405 there in the center of the shot. That's going to be the southbound commute on the right side of your screen, and then the northbound side is going to be on the left. I'm not seeing any cars on the left side of the screen, which means that in all likelihood that northbound 405 is already closed near the Getty Center. So we are working as fast as we can to get over towards the fire. Of course, we happen to have a tailwind, so that is impeding our progress here. But again, we are estimating that this fire is already at approximately 6 acres and growing.
Take a look at those flame lengths, Ileana. You can see just how significant this fire is going to be already. They have a ratio that firefighters use: a foot of vegetation, 4 feet of flames. And already you can see this is high vegetation, not some of the lower level brush that we've seen with some of the other fires. These are big trees, and as it moves uphill, there are homes in its path. The Getty Center, there's so much out there that could be at risk as we watch this fire spread.
It looks like there are some homes in its path right there. Right now, those looks like structures. You know, we're trying to get as close as possible, but this is a raging fire, a huge fire. Look how high those flames are going right now.
And it's important to point out, as we've mentioned this before, and people in Southern California who live here know this, that fire can move much more quickly uphill. There's the radiant heat, the preheating of the fuels, and also the flame lengths. And you can even have fire burning up through the root system, especially when you have tall vegetation like this. In this area, and as we've seen with all of these are populated areas that are at risk, and many people thinking, you know, in December with this weather pattern that we've had, you don't usually associate fires with the winter time, but here we are in December, the dry conditions, we haven't had a drop of rain in weeks, and we are seeing the impact. This now the 5th fire that we are covering in Southern California. Number 5, and again, these are preliminary reports at 6 acres, but we can already tell that this is not good.
Yeah, this right here is on the northbound 405 at Getty Center Drive. This is in Brentwood. And all that smoke, everyone in this area will likely be able to see, smell. We're going to bring in meteorologist Shauna Mendiola again. What firefighters are fighting against this morning, Shauna, is the wind. Although the winds have died down a little bit this morning, this fire is still moving uphill and it's moving really fast.
That's right, Daniela. And when you see fires moving uphill, they burn fast. And what's happening right now, even though the winds are light, it is absolutely bone dry outside. I'm looking at the humidity out towards that direction near Getty Center, and right now it's in the teens. So you can see just how dry it is. Again, we've got dry vegetation on the ground. We don't have any rain in our forecast, and we haven't had any, even though this is our rainiest season. So it's just been a lot of, again, trouble for us here in Southern California as we're looking at any fires that start. They move fast because the ground is dry, the air is dry, and you get these winds fanning these flames, and they move very fast. So this is a serious situation right now as it's 5:11 in the morning. And again, a lot of people waking up to this. We really do want to tell people to listen to, again, the news. Again, get out if you can, if you live in this area or see the smoke, see the flames, because it does appear to be moving fast here. We don't know, again, how wide this area may be, but we're making estimations here. And again, with the conditions, the weather conditions at this time, this fire is going to move very fast. I am going to continue to watch the wind conditions, though. And we're going to watch the traffic as well, because this is near the 405, right, Alicia? And again, that is a very busy artery for us here in Southern California. That's Sepulveda Pass.
Yeah, it's officially a SIG alert, Shauna. The CHP just letting everyone know all lanes are shut down on that 405 northbound side. They gave a time. It says till about 6 a.m., so that's a pretty confident proclamation. Look how big this is and how fast it's traveling. I mentioned this hillside fire about 10-15 minutes ago, and we've seen it grow this quickly, this fast. So again, all lanes are shut down. The 405 northbound, close to Bel Air Crest, close to Mulholland, Sunset, Getty Center. I think the official closure rather, is Bel Air Crest Road. So again, lanes will be blocked on that northbound side. Sounds like the southbound side is open. Don't know how long that will occur. So you want to get out early. You definitely want to use other freeways, maybe the Canyon roads or the 101. Of course, keep it here. We'll let you know if there are any changes, and if this fire progresses, other closures, anticipate those as well. We'll try to get some street closures for you in addition. All right, I'm going to send it to you.
Alicia, thanks so much. This is a mounting disaster in many respects here. Alicia talking about the 405 being shut down. That is a huge mess for the morning commute. Let's get back to Ileana Moreno as we're getting closer to this fire. Ileana, I mean, I know we're zoomed in, so sometimes it's tough to tell just how close the flames are to those buildings, but it certainly does not look good.
It does not, Whit. I wish I could say that I was zoomed in and it was just distorting our picture, but it's not. This is a big fire. And look at this home. This home that you see here is no small home. It is one of those huge Beverly Hills mansions, and I can tell you that compared to this fire, it looks tiny. This is really big. I want you to know exactly where this is, though, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce a new feature that we have up here in News Chopper 4. It's a map overlay. You will see here in just a moment come up on your screen here, and you're going to start to be able to see some of the streets that are here. So you should be seeing them now. You should be able to see some of the streets that are in the area. I know this is going to help Alicia guide our viewers as to how to avoid some of these closures that people will be experiencing on the 405 freeway. We can see the first LA City helicopter arriving to the scene, but I'll just tell you what I've been hearing over the fire scanner. I heard one of the fire officials say, send everybody you can to this one. This is going to be a big one. They have requested any and all air resources that they can get on this, because this is going to be in an area that is going to be up in the hills, so we may have access issues getting to this one. So the best way to battle this one will be from above. So we will need all of the air resources that we can on this one. Of course, we have some air resources on the fire that we were just over, the Silmar fire, the Creek fire. We could possibly see some of those air resources start to make their way to this one. Again, this one is burning right off of the 405 freeway. If you are either in the LA Basin or in the Valley, you will be seeing this fire. Again, it's going to be burning right off of the 405 at Getty Center.
And Ileana, you know, as you see these structures getting closer and closer, the fire getting closer and closer to these structures, I don't know if you could put out a little bit so we can see. I mean, we see a structure right there. If you could see some other structures that are close to the flames. I mean, from our view, it looks like there are plenty of structures out there in homes.
Yeah, we have a lot of homes. I'll show you some of the ones that are right here. So these are going to be just east of the fire, but you can see just how incredibly close. We don't have any necessarily just to the south there, but as I continue to move the shot, look for all those lights. Look for all those twinkling white lights. All of those are residences. So you can imagine why the fire department has issued this basically this mandate almost to get any and all air resources that they can out to this fire burning here off the 405 freeway because we have so many structures in the area.
Liana, we already know that the fire crews, everyone fighting all of these 4 fires before this one started, are already stretched thin, you know, with the resources, aircraft resources on the ground and in the air. I mean, this is a massive fire. At some point, fire officials are going to have to decide which one to prioritize and send all, you know, of their crews, as you're saying that they're asking everyone just to show up to help put out this fire.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening, Colleen. I'm sorry, Daniela. I was here last night covering those fires, so I'm still thinking about last night. But this one's different. This one is just in such a crucial area where we have so many residences. We have that 405 freeway, which of course is a major freeway here in Southern California. And as we were hearing, at least the northbound side is already closed, so that is going to have a major impact on our commute this morning. But this is the particular home that I continue to watch just because that's the one that I'm most concerned about, because that is the one that I see closest to the fire. It looks like they had some great brush clearance, but sometimes that is not enough. We could get just an ember that makes its way over to any one of these homes, really, and that is when we could really see something catastrophic.
And over the ridge where that home is located on top of the hill, you can see the traffic on the 405 already building, but the flames are moving so quickly uphill. And that home, a little bit of brush clearance, as we've seen with the conditions, the dry conditions with the winds, it almost doesn't matter at some point because we've seen the fires being able to jump the freeway. I mean, it jumped the 210 in the Creek fire. It jumped the 101 in the Thomas fire. So right now, all of these buildings in this area now at risk. So if anybody lives here, is traveling through this area, you need to be aware because as we've seen, these fires are spreading so quickly. People are not getting evacuation orders in time sometimes. People need to be mindful themselves and see the urgency and get out.
And at this point, you know, it's really difficult for fire crews to go and knock on people's door. I mean, this is in the hills, and they have to be feeling the heat and hearing everything that's happening. Hopefully, they're able to get out of their home if there's a route to exit. And all those people on the 405 right now can see this from where they are. And if you are in this area, anywhere in the San Fernando Valley, of course, you're going to be able to smell this, if not only just see all of that smoke. So remember, we're talking about poor air quality again in this area. So we do want to check in though with Alicia Del Valle because Alicia, the northbound 405 has been shut down. Is the southbound shut down yet?
Okay, so we understand that fire crews are in position, ready to shut down that southbound side. So it's not officially closed, but we have rubberneckers slowing down that southbound side. And the problem here is Sepulveda Boulevard. That is the alternate people use to avoid the pass. When something goes wrong on the 405, that is the alternate. But it's on the northbound side in this area. Again, all lanes are shut down. All cars are being diverted off at Getty Center Drive. That's the northbound side. But again, Sepulveda runs along that portion of, so I'm trying to say you can't use, or it's not wise to use Sepulveda because it's on this side, and this side is where that fire is. That's where it's occurring. So a lot happening here. It is unsafe. At any moment now that fire could jump over to the southbound side, and there aren't a lot of side streets in this area, but you do have a lot of people that live here, a lot of residences, a lot of buildings, including the Getty Center, including Skirball Center. So just a heads up to everybody in this area, start calling your friends, your family, wake them up and tell them to be alert, keep it here. We'll keep you updated with all of the closures. In terms of alternates, if you have to use that 405, stay away from it. Back to you.
I want to go to Margaret Stewart with LA City Fire on the phone right now. We're going to stay on top of our picture with News Chopper 4 as we talk to Margaret. Margaret, what can you tell us about what's happening right now?
This is a new brush fire, to be clear, so your viewers understand. We were talking about a new area. This is the 405 at Mulholland. We do have lane closures on the 405, We have 6 acres that's burning uphill, winds at approximately 10 miles an hour with some gusts. We do have homes at the top of this hill that we are putting structure defense in place. We now have over 75 firefighters plus 2 helicopters assigned to this incident. This is obviously, as you're showing, it's in a dangerous area with some large structures up there. So it's early in the fight. We've just been there within a few minutes. So they're trying to anchor the fire, which is to attack it at the base, and putting crews at the top to defend the homes.
And at this point, you know, this is moving, as you said, uphill so fast. Is the priority to attack this overhead right now with the helicopters and aerial assaults, because it's very difficult to get up to that hill so fast?
Absolutely. We are doing both. Our ground crews are getting in place, and they're working to anchor the fire. We have helicopters that are en route, and they will hit it at the top. So we will be doing both at the same time. In fact, I believe I can see our helicopters arriving on scene right now.
And we see it as well. And what about evacuation orders and getting the word out to all these people that live up high in these hills? It is quite early, and still people, probably a lot of people still sleeping.
It is. Right now, all of our resources that are on that incident are fully committed to fighting the fire. LAPD will be tying in, and they will handle evacuations.
Margaret, just so our viewers are paying attention to what's happening here, we're looking at flames approaching dangerously close to a structure. It may be a home, a large home at the top of this hill. Do you have a sense of what some of the major buildings in the area that are threatened right now? I mean, at the top of Mulholland, you have Bel Air Presbyterian Church, you have a number of other schools up at the top of the hill, and then farther down Getty Center Drive, you have the Getty Center itself. Is the Getty Center threatened by this right now?
It's a bit early for me to be able to give those kinds of specifics. As I mentioned, this is within 10 minutes of the initial fire. So as you said, there are a number of structures. There's schools, there's a Skirball Center, there are homes. So we are putting in place to protect all that are threatened, but it's just very early for me to be able to give too many specifics.
We're trying to get a sense of just like the point of origin here, or at least a better idea, because we know that there are some areas where there aren't structures and plenty of vegetation to burn. But do you have an idea of like a cross street or an intersection or the general area where this fire started or where the initial call came out?
The call came out at the 405 in Mulholland, and based on the upward burn of the fire, it's possible, however, this is speculation, that it started closer to the freeway at the base of the hill and then ran up the hill.
Okay.
Do you know by any chance if word has gone out to this home that we are watching right now on our screen, a live news feed for our News Chopper 4, and it's just dangerously close to this home? We see the lights are on, but we're just wondering and hoping that the people in this building have been able to get out.
Well, I have also seen our resources in that area right behind that structure. There were lights. Therefore, if there is anyone in there, there are crews on scene to address that. Obviously, I don't have specifics, but we are at the top of the hill, so with the lights and sirens going, they'll be able to direct those people out.
You know, Margaret, one thing that we've seen with many of the fires that we've dealt with in California this year, not only with our recent fires in Southern California, but what they faced up in Santa Rosa and Northern California, is these winds have spread the fire so quickly that many people didn't have much warning. They weren't able to get an evacuation order because it was a matter of seconds and the flames were approaching. What are you doing? What is the department doing to try to get this word out, aside from lights and sirens going up the street? Are there alerts going out in one way or another in the area?
There is the Notify LA system where people can sign up to receive emergency alerts to their phone. So that system can be activated. That's going to be dependent on them also having signed up for it. However, the LAPD will handle the evacuation issues. So I'll refer to them for specifics on their process on how they'll do that. Right now, we're fully engaged in the fight. And I would love to circle back with you when I'm able to gather more information to provide your viewers.
Margaret Stewart with LA City Fire, thank you so much for your time. We will check in with you for an update a little bit later this morning. In the meantime, we do want to send things over to News Chopper 4, Ileana Moreno, who is over this fire. Ileana, we continue to watch this fire just rage uphill. and we're watching the structure also get dangerously close. Can you give us an update on the fire?
Yeah, this is going to be a home off of Queensboro Lane, and I'm continuing to monitor that as we can also continue to monitor the fire. I'm going to go ahead and pull the shot out. I know we were talking about what the point of origin could have been, and Margaret Stewart mentioned that there was the possibility that this could have started off of the 405 freeway, and I'll show you why that is a definite possibility. That's the 405 north that you see there, all those taillights, and there is where the fire appears to have originated, but of course, this is all preliminary information. This is just based off of the way that the winds are moving, and considering that this is uphill. And Whit mentioned something right off the bat, that fires do move faster uphill than they do downhill. So that's definitely a possibility that we could have had the fire start right at the 405 off of the northbound lanes at Mulholland, and it then crept its way up north along this Sepulveda Fire Road, and then now is making its way all the way to this home here off of Queensboro Lane. Danielle, I know you mentioned the residents. I've been trying to keep an eye out to see if I see anybody preparing to leave or any vehicles leaving the home. As of yet, I have not seen that happen, but of course we are definitely very concerned for this community here at the top of the hill, a community of larger homes here in the Beverly Hills area, right off of the 405 freeway, just on the east side of it, to be exact.
So, go ahead. I was just going to say on the east side of the 405, this is helpful for our viewers here because, as we know, the Skirball Center, Getty Center, that's on the west side. So if we're talking about the east side here, still an incredibly populated area. There are many homes. Maybe, Eliana, when you get the opportunity, as you're rotating the chopper around, you can show us that mapping mechanism again, just so we can try to get a better sense of exactly where this is. You said this was Queensboro Lane is where this home is located?
Yeah, that's correct. And I'm actually pulling up the map right now, so you should start to see it here in just a moment. Right off of Queensboro Lane is what I'm getting based off of the way that I'm seeing the map from up here. So it does appear to be right off of Queensboro Lane. I can't give you the exact block number, but I'm going to go ahead and pull the shot out so that you can see just some of the other homes in the area. And if you are up with us this morning and you're watching this fire and you're concerned about your home in this area, take a look at this map and see where your street is in relation to this fire, and that will help you prepare. Whether, you know, we obviously don't know yet whether or not there are any evacuations in place. Of course, mandatory evacuations we haven't heard about, but of course, if you feel that at this point it is safer for you to leave, of course, try to get ahead of it and try to go ahead and leave now before the roads get crowded, because I can tell you that it would be a mass exodus if in fact an evacuation order does go in place for all of these homes here. Everywhere where you see those twinkling lights and everywhere where you're seeing all of those streets, those are all residential streets. So you can imagine what it would be like if everyone is forced to leave here at a moment's notice, at of course a very early hour in the morning when a lot of people may still be sleeping. But that's basically the situation that we're facing here. And I'm going to go ahead and widen out the shot here. I want to make sure that everyone fully understands where this is at. So basically we have the helicopter facing in a northerly direction. So we are looking off to the north, looking off towards the Van Nuys area. So the right side of the freeway in this situation is going to be the northbound commute on the 405 freeway. You can start to see all of those red tail lights. And I'm going to go ahead and skip over the flames to show you that past the flames, you are not seeing any more commuters north of that particular region, but you also see the southbound commute. Those are all those headlights. It does appear that at this point, all of those commuters are being allowed to pass through, but now I'm going to do the opposite and skip to the other side of the freeway, and you can see that little bit of traffic still continuing south of the fire here. So it does appear that at least for now, the southbound commute remains open. Northbound now is going to be stopped here right at the fire.
Eliana, thank you for that information. You know, at some point, as Alicia Del Valle has been watching traffic, she said that they are in position to shut down the southbound. So if your commute is going to take you that direction, this is a major freeway that we're talking about that thousands of people use. So if it's going to take you that direction, you know, think of another route right now probably, because likely it will be shut down as we continue to watch this raging 6-acre brush fire near the Getty Center, but it's really going uphill towards a populated residential area, and it's close to several schools and several churches as well, not just homes. And at this point, we have 5 fires burning in Southern California. By the way, we are focusing right now on this one, but we're still watching the other 4 fires that are happening, that are burning, but we see helicopters in the area, firefighters also on the ground trying to protect these homes and also send alerts to people to get out of their homes if they need to evacuate.
Yeah, some of those water dropping aircraft already in position. They were already flying the skies, covering the other 4 fires that were on in Southern California. This area just north of Getty View Park, and no doubt anybody who lives in Southern California has driven this stretch of the 405, and you'd be familiar with it right as you start to go from sort of the flatter part near Brentwood, and then you go up through the hill in the Sepulveda Pass. These are those homes just on the north side, or I should say the northeastern side of the 405 as you're going northbound on the 405. So they're up on the hill there, just north of Getty View Park. And this is a residential area. That area that Ileana was focused on where the home was. I mean, there are a variety of cul-de-sacs there. This is not an isolated wooded area. So homes are threatened. We're still trying to get an update on acreage. The early preliminary reports were 6 acres, but we definitely know it's more than that.
And it's better to evacuate early because there are so many cul-de-sacs and small streets. It can be difficult to evacuate if, they begin blocking off streets and the fire starts moving very fast. So it's a good idea that if you are in this area, you know somebody that's in this area, give them a call, wake them up, let them know what's happening in case, they don't know. But
because that's been the danger. That's been the danger with all of these fires that have exploded in the middle of the night. People are sleeping, so they don't get that warning. They're not walking around outside. They don't see the flames approaching. So if you know somebody who lives here, definitely call them, text them, whatever you can, get them up and get them out of there, because we know there will be evacuations
And
with
this is very similar to what happened yesterday morning in Sylmar. When the creek fire started, it was in the middle of the night or really early in the morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, where people were calling each other and waking up their neighbors or smelling the smoke. And so this is one of those situations. And call somebody if you know they live in that area, or if you go to that school as well. We're going to start getting information about school closures and more road and freeway closures, as well as evacuation centers, which eventually they're going to have to open for many of the people in this area evacuating.
Let's take a look at this image once again from News Chopper 4. We can see this structure. We believe it is a home at the end of a cul-de-sac there as the fire approaches dangerously close. But you can look at the smoke. It still is billowing almost straight up with a little bit of a lean there. So we know there are winds, but it's not as dramatic as we've seen over the past few days. Let's bring in meteorologist Shauna Mendiola. She's been watching the windy conditions here. And Shauna, as you're looking at this picture, you can see the smoke still is going up with a little bit of a lean. So the wind gusts not as strong as yesterday, but can still cause plenty of problems, right?
Yeah, and you can tell that, again, there is a little bit of wind there. Otherwise, the smoke wouldn't be moving in any one direction. Right now, the wind is a lot lighter than yesterday. So, again, that would be good news, even though the wind is still there. It is gusting anywhere between 10 to 20 miles per hour. Again, that's at a higher elevation through those canyon and passes. That 405 Sepulveda Pass is at a little bit of a higher elevation than when you get down to that 405 area near Santa Monica. So we're looking at, again, some sustained winds there, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Not quite getting those winds like we did yesterday, but even though that's the fact, it is very dry out there. And again, if this fire, again, we're speculating, might have started on the 405 and has rapidly spread uphill, that might be a possibility, because fire does, again, give off radiant heat up a hill. When it does move up the hill, again, it burns very fast, and any, again, 10-degree slope in that hill will make those fires go very fast up those hills. Again, we're watching some light wind out there, but in terms of the dryness, we're seeing those teens, and it's going to stay that way throughout the day. From now through around the afternoon, we're going to be seeing some light winds here, but when we get to around the 8 o'clock hour tonight, we're really going to be concerned for everybody, because that's when those winds really start to pick up here in Southern California from the northeast. Right now, it does appear that those winds are coming out of the southwest, so they're a little erratic right now, but very, very light. And you can see, again, the smoke moving through the hills, and it's just a concerning sight to see. I'm talking here with Alicia, and she's talking about, again, the traffic out there, how they're about to close some of those roads. It's just a scary sight, especially if you're waking up and you had no idea this is happening and you're just driving down the 405 like you normally would. This is a major artery through Southern California, that 405 right through the Sepulveda Pass. A lot of people take that to work, right, Alicia?
Absolutely. You can see there are already a lot of cars on that 405, and now it sounds like like people are pulling over, afraid of what they're driving into. So now you're impeding or actually hurting traffic when you should just try to get through if you're already on that 405. I understand it's alarming, but as of right now, only the northbound side of the 405 in the pass is officially closed. Southbound, what you have are people slowing down, and there are reports from the Highway Patrol, people actually stopping on the freeway. I'm not sure if they're trying to get video or what's happening and they're afraid, but this is just an area you want to avoid. Again, we're now hearing about new closures. The 405 northbound is closed, and now the 10, the Santa Monica freeway, is closed. You cannot access the 405 because of this fire from the 10. So that's going to affect your drive out of Santa Monica trying to get to the 405. You want to use side streets like the canyon roads, like the 101. Avoid the 405 through the Sepulveda Pass. They did say, or the fire department was mentioning, actually the Highway Patrol was saying they were hoping to have this cleared by 6 a.m. Not going to happen. That fire is spreading. There are actually reports of another smaller fire in this area because of these embers. These winds really just effective if you're talking fires. So Sean has been warning us all morning long. We'll keep you updated on these closures as they come along. And of course, News Chopper 4 so helpful with the side streets that are affected. Just keep it here. We'll keep you informed.
Alicia, thank you. And you know, when this all started, we've been reporting that this is a 6-acre fire. It is, of course, grown since then. We're trying to get that number confirmed. We are seeing how fast it is moving uphill. The good news out of all of this, meteorologist Shauna Mendiola has been saying that the wind is died down a little bit this morning. It is expected to pick back up, but you can imagine just with the little wind that there is. I think she's reported earlier it's 10 miles an hour. It's still moving very fast.
Look at this image from News Chopper 4. You can see already how widespread this fire is, and it almost looks like lava cascading over the hillsides down towards the 405. So we talked about the northbound 405 lanes being shut down. No doubt this will have a huge impact on the southbound lanes. And depending on how this spreads, and as we've seen with some of the other fires, the embers have been able to jump across the freeway. We saw that with the Thomas fire in Ventura overnight. It went over the 101. We saw it with the Creek fire yesterday. It went over the 210. So definitely anybody who is in this area or passing through this area has to be aware of the threat from this fire. And we're looking at the flames and just getting a sense of this. As we were talking to LA City Fire Department, they said that just now they're scrambling to get as many resources into place as possible. We know all of those resources already stretched thin, covering the other 4 fires in Southern California.
Absolutely. It's going to be a very difficult fight for them. Also, this is in the hills. It's very difficult to get to. So they are now using, you know, aircraft resources to attack this from the air as they scramble crews to get on the ground here. And this is exactly why they're planning and probably positioning to close the 405, because as you said, you know, these fires are jumping the freeways. They want to keep everybody safe, and you can see how close it is already to the 405. It's so difficult to see this just because this smoke is so widespread. And look closely right here on the 405 what's happening. These cars are making U-turns. They are starting to turn around the vehicles on the freeway because the impact right here of traffic is so widespread now. They're trying to find different directions to get them out before that fire begins jumping the 405.
And this is one of the busiest freeways in the entire country. Right now, you're taking individual cars and then turning them back around, going against the grain, heading south now on the 405 in the northbound lane. So this is going to take forever. This is going to take hours. I mean, you have thousands of cars backed up right now, and this process is only beginning. And we aren't even getting a sense, because it's dark outside, the homes that are being threatened in this area. This is a populated area. This is not rural wild land. There are homes up there. There are schools up there. This area just north of Getty View Park and sort of to the west of Bel Air, there are plenty of homes. You have Peekaboo Playland, Bel Air, that's up in the area.
Many of those streets we're familiar with are small streets. You know, it's not like you can rush out as fast as you can down these hills, and it's dark. You don't have a lot of lights out there in those streets. So if you are going to evacuate, be very careful. And if you know somebody in this area, I know it's still early and dark outside, call them, alert them to what's going on. But there's no doubt if you are in the LA basin or you are in the valley, you will see all of the smoke and you'll be able to smell it, because there is a lot of it.
Let's get back to Eliana Moreno in News Chopper 4 as she is zooming back in on this house threatened by this fire. Eliana, we saw those flames licking their way up the hillside, getting closer and closer to this home. Is there any activity? It looks like there might be a fire engine off in the distance there trying to provide some structure protection here.
Yeah, that's correct. We have the first unit arriving to this home here on Queensboro Lane to provide some structure protection. So we hope that they definitely are able to do whatever they can to protect this structure here at the top of the hill. Just the way that the terrain here is basically designed is the reason why that home is in the path of the fire. If the fire did in fact start at the 405 freeway and creep its way uphill, that's basically why these homes now at the top of the hill are now threatened. I'm going to go ahead and use a new feature up here in News Chopper for that will allow us to see this area and see what it looks like in the daytime. I know we're talking about you know, how many structures are here. It's a little difficult to see here at night, but I want to make sure that we can see exactly how many homes are in fact here. So I'm punching in a satellite view, a daytime satellite view of what this area looks like, and you should be seeing it here in just a moment. And when you do see it, you will see, and I think you see it now, when you do see it, you will be able to see just how many homes are up here just east of the 405 freeway. And that's the community that we're looking at. That's the community where that large home is situated. Just to give you an idea what the terrain looks like. So we have those homes there at the top, but you can see that you have the 405 freeway just on the east side of these, just on the west side of these homes rather, and then just on the east side you have a big open area. So that entire area that you see just to the right of those homes, all of that is in danger of burning. So that is why the fire department said, get everyone over here that you can, because the potential to have a lot more area burn is definitely present. The latest number we heard, of course, was 6 acres, but that could continue to grow.
Now, actually, we're just getting information into the newsroom. It is right now 50 acres, 50, and that has jumped from just 6 acres. That tells you right there how fast this fire is moving and how widespread it is right now.
And we've been using our News Chopper 4 mapping mechanism to help people get a sense, but I'm just going to rattle off some streets here just for anybody who might be in this area, know anybody in this area. Bel Air Crest Road is right in the thick of it there. We've talked about Queensboro Lane. Excuse me, I'm not sure if my microphone's working right now. Go ahead, Danielle. Go ahead while we fix this problem.
Okay, right now what we're doing is we're looking at the brush fire. This is near the Getty Center. 405 closed right now, northbound lanes. This is near the Bel Air Crest area. There's a helicopter doing everything that it can to do some water drops and analyze and see, and hopefully it'll be an alarm for people that living in this area. Do you see those twinkling lights right there in the dark? Those are all homes. This is a very populated area, many homes, and you know, there's no doubt that they know that hopefully something is going on with all the noise that's happening. But right now, the biggest challenge for firefighters is getting crews out there, just because there are 4 other fires. Just to remind you, there are 4 other big fires burning in Southern California. We're talking about the Creek Fire in Sylmar, the Thomas Fire in Ventura, then the Rye Fire in Santa Clarita. And this has just been a very busy last 48 hours for firefighters. Many of them have been working overnight, and the resources are stretched thin, but I think this is the big focus right now because how fast this is moving and how populated it is. Absolutely. How close it is to homes.
And we can't emphasize enough just how devastating this has been for Southern California. I mean, we're already talking about upwards of 150, 160 homes destroyed. Buildings destroyed just in our area in Southern California during the holiday season, weeks away from Christmas. People have family plans, things that they're doing, memories, and all these things lost for some of those poor families hurt by the other fires, and this one just getting underway. And the evacuations in this area are going to be incredibly difficult. You have winding roads up through the hillside. You have a bunch of cul-de-sacs, and one thing that we learned about from the LA Fire Department is that, you know, it's difficult to notify people sometimes. And we've seen this with some of the other fires recently. When they break out in the middle of the night, people are asleep. They're not checking their phones. They may not be getting the alerts until somebody's literally banging on their door and telling them to get out. And that's been the big concern, especially yesterday we saw with the Creek Fire in Sylmar. Homes started burning before people were even able to get on the road.
And many of the homes in this area are gated, you know, in gated communities, or maybe gates around the homes. Very difficult to get up there at this time of the night or this time of the morning, you know, to alert them. So hopefully, as we were mentioning, they can hear and see and smell something that's happening, and they can get out of those homes. We are going to check in again with meteorologist Shauna Mendiola and Alicia Del Valle, because the 405 right now is northbound is shut down. She has been saying that we've seen cars making U-turns, going the wrong direction as officials are trying to get these cars as far away from this fire as possible. They're thinking that possibly it started on the 405. So we're going to check in with Alicia Del Valle right now. Alicia, can you hear us?
Hear you. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, this is quite alarming. We're hearing from the CHP that there are callers, people stuck on the 405, unsure if they should proceed. Like you mentioned, cars are turning around on the 405. A lot happening in this area. Please avoid the 405 through the Sepulveda Pass, and you can expect that it's going to impact all of the side streets, including Sepulveda Boulevard, which is on the eastbound side of the 405, which is where this fire is occurring. Now, again, I'm staying in touch with the Highway Patrol. Officially, that southbound side has not been officially closed, but we're also hearing about the westbound 10, the Santa Monica Freeway, that is also closed, trying to connect to the 405. So that's going to affect the Santa Monica Freeway. So a lot happening because of this fire. Thankfully, News Chopper 4 is over this, and Sean has been warning us and following the smoke and the winds. It's not anywhere near close to being reopened. Please use the canyon roads as an alternate, or stay on the 101 and use that instead. And of course, keep it here. We'll keep you updated all morning.
And let's check in with Shauna Mendiola on the wind, Shauna. We're just getting the latest numbers from LAFD. They're saying it's 50 acres now, this fire, and they've been dealing with 25-mile-per-hour winds. Now, we know yesterday we had them upwards of 50, even 60 miles per hour in some places, so not as bad, but still 25-mile-per-hour winds with these dry conditions, incredibly dangerous.
Right, we're still looking at a humidity down to about 11% in that area. So when you get up to, again, even a little bit of wind, that 25-mile-per-hour wind gust can fan these flames, as we're seeing here on the live shot right by the freeway. It is fanning that smoke along the freeways all the way through those hill areas. And I think the Hollywood Hills, Bel Air, I'm looking on my live Doppler network now, you can actually see some of that smoke getting picked up along the 405 and then getting sent into, again, the southwest direction in from the northeast, because these winds are still coming out of the northeast. They're very light at this time and not as gusty as yesterday. But again, any bit of wind is starting to, again, fan these flames very fast as this fire moves uphill. We are seeing, again, high, steep terrain. It is very mountainous in that area. That is going to be very tricky for firefighters to get around, especially because of all those windy roads. You know, Alicia's been talking about even those closures along the 405 and, again, those main arteries at Sepulveda Pass. To get around it, it's very tricky. You know, all those hills, again, have those windy roads, and there's a lot of homes in the area. So this is something that we are very concerned about. And as we watch those winds today, I don't expect them to pick up until later on tonight. But it's still, again, very gusty at about 25 miles per hour. And even though that's not advisory level and it's not as strong as they could be, it is enough to really just push these flames along and to even be a concern at all. We're still going to have to battle these winds, and they're sticking around again for the next several days. So this is something that I think is going to be a major problem here in Southern California, especially with the air being so dry. And even though those temperatures are cool, that doesn't matter. It's still very dry, very windy up there in those higher elevations, especially because you're in a mountainous area.
All right, Shauna Mendiola, thanks so much. We want to go back to Ileana Moreno, News Chopper 4. We're watching the flames approach even closer to a different home now. And Ileana, as we've talked about, flames can move much faster uphill. For one measurement we use, every 10 degrees of slope, you get double the speed of the fire. There's preheating of the fuels, radiant heat as the flames work their way uphill, and it can move so quickly. One can only hope, Ileana, that the people who live in these homes up at the top of the hill, that they've been warned and that they've already left those homes.
We can only hope. I'm looking here at two homes, actually. These are going to be two slightly smaller homes than the ones we were looking at earlier. These are going to be off of the 1300 block of Casiano Road, which is going to be just to the east of Sepulveda Boulevard, where you can see that the flames are burning just to the rear of these homes. And as you said, we just hope that everyone is already out. Again, there are no mandatory evacuations underway that we know of, but looking at this shot, looking at how close these flames are coming up to these homes, you would hope that everyone would just leave. But with that, we would need everyone to just be alert, be awake, and to know that there is even a fire burning in their own backyard. Unfortunately, because we have become so accustomed to the smell of smoke over the past 2 days, a lot of the people in these areas may simply think that what they're smelling is the smoke that comes from any one of the other 4 fires that we have been covering over the past couple of days. But this is a new fire. It is, if you live here off of the 405 freeway near Mulholland, this is in your backyard. What we now know is a 50-acre brush fire burning dangerously close to homes and having a major impact on the 405 freeway and that morning commute.
Do you see, you were there a little zoomed in on those homes. Do you see fire crews on the ground? Do you see any movement at all of fire crews maybe alerting, trying to get people, trying to get the word out of what's happening, or even dousing that fire?
We saw the crews earlier up on the home on Queensboro Lane, which was that larger home. But now that I'm looking at these 2 smaller homes off of Casiano Road, which again is going to be just off of Sepulveda Boulevard, I'm actually not seeing any personnel here. And it's not that they don't want to get here. It's just that it's something we've brought up a couple of times now. These roads are very windy and access issues are definitely a factor. That is why the fire department, when they first heard about this fire, the first thing they asked for were those aerial assets, because they knew that that would be the best way to battle this fire.
Hey, Eliana, sorry to interrupt here. We actually have Margaret Stewart with LA City Fire back on the phone with us. And Margaret, I understand, thanks so much for joining us once again. I understand there has been an update and some evacuations in place right now.
We do have an update in terms of the acreage. We're at approximately 50 acres now. The winds have picked up. We're estimating winds at 25 miles an hour. This is burning to the east. I don't have official formal evacuation orders. LAPD is arriving on scene and be making their way into the neighborhoods, and they'll handle evacuation orders. Fortunately, we do have, as you can see on your live shot, our air assets are making drops, which will be extremely beneficial in us being able to stop that forward progress, because it's a challenge to get access to those areas quickly because of the type of roads.
Margaret, are you getting any sense if any structures are burning right now, or if any structures have been damaged at this moment?
I'm not able to confirm that. We know we have structures threatened. I don't have a number. There are different types of buildings in that area. But right now, we are fully engaged in defending the property and stopping the forward progress. So I'm not able to provide that type of detail yet.
Can you tell us a little bit about the resources that are going into fighting this fire? Because there are, as a reminder, 4 other fires happening right now, and many of them still out of control.
Yes, we have over 125 LA City firefighters assigned. We also have some additional resources from LA County Fire. We have, I believe, at least one of their helicopters, and we have some hand crews coming. So we do have a significant response. This is what we would call a major emergency response, as well as our continuing efforts at the Creek Fire.
And there are some schools in this area. Are you hearing anything about school closures at this time?
I'd have to refer you to LA Unified School District for that.
Can you talk about just some of the challenges of this area? We know the topography, it's up on a hillside, you have winding roads, canyons and things that firefighters need to deal with, and also things that can fuel the flames. What are some of the challenges as you're trying to get people out of this neighborhood?
Those things you mentioned are exactly what our firefighters have to face. They're not able to immediately make their way up into those hills because of the access challenges, which is why our air assets are such critical resource right now. So they are facing the challenge of getting up the hill, getting in the roads, and then obviously then it's time to go to work fighting the fire. We are accustomed to dealing with these scenarios. It's what we train to do. It's a aspect of the city, so we're prepared to do it. But we need the cooperation of all of the citizens that live in the area to be ready, set, go. They need to be prepared, have all their critical items already in their vehicle facing out of the driveway so that if they need to go, they can exit in a timely manner and not be delayed. It also emphasizes the importance of brush clearance. You can see how quickly this heavy brush burns, and when they have that 200-foot clearance around their home, it gives us the defensible space, is what we call it. We can get between their home and the fire and try to defend their home. If we don't have that space, then there's very little we can do because the brush is going to burn right up to the house.
That's a great reminder. Margaret, is there any way that you can confirm the point of origin where we did hear earlier that it was possibly the 405?
I can't say definitively. The speculation is because the fire was smaller and burning uphill away from the freeway, it's quite possible that it started at the base of the freeway. But that's just not information that I can confirm. That's speculation. And right now, we are focused on fighting the fire, and cause will come later.
Margaret, you mentioned the evacuation efforts are just in the beginning here as they're trying, fire crews and the LAPD trying to get up into the neighborhoods to get people out. Where are you sending these people now? Is there an evacuation center, or at least a temporary evacuation center set up where people can go if they don't have any place?
We don't have that information yet. We don't have any evacuation centers on this side of the city. However, we have 20 evacuation centers that were already established for the Creek Fire that are all over the San Fernando Valley. So people can go to our website, lafd.org/news, or just click on the news link. And the very top message there has a list of all of the evacuation centers that are fully operational. And those are, as I mentioned, they're across the San Fernando Valley. So one of them won't be too far away.
And do you anticipate having enough resources to accommodate all these people? I mean, when we get more and more fires, one thing that we've heard from the different evacuation centers is they do have the resources, but sometimes it's just getting people there. The parking lots filling up and the roads being busy and sort of a traffic jam getting into it. Do you anticipate perhaps opening another area to try to alleviate some of that crunch on the already strained evacuation centers?
Well, right now that's not the situation we're facing. We have 20 evacuation centers across the valley, and they are not at capacity. So that isn't an issue facing yet. There's plenty of space for residents to go to, and we recommend that that they do that. If it needs to be reevaluated, they have the ability to open more centers. So fortunately, that's not the situation. There's plenty of capacity available at those 20 sites across the valley.
All right, Margaret, thank you very much with LA City Fire. We're going to check in with you in a little bit. We want to send things over right now to News Chopper 4, Ileana Moreno, who is above this fire. We've heard a 50-acre brush fire right now burning near several homes. Ileana, good morning.
Good morning, Daniela. We're actually starting to see some of those first engines arrive to those homes on the southernmost portion of the fire off of Casiano Road. I know we were concerned about those homes. Those are the homes off of the 1300 block of Casiano Road where we saw that the fire was burning right up to these people's backyards. It's actually under the fire, or rather under the smoke right here. But as we have this smoke passing the shot and you focus right in the center, you can see that there are in fact 2 single-family homes there, completely surrounded at this point by the fire. But fortunately, as I just said, we do have some engines starting to arrive on the scene. I'm going to go ahead and widen out the shot though so we can look at the big picture, and in a moment I will show you that large home that we kept looking at just to see what its current status is. That home is going to be on the top of the hill, so on the northern, or rather, on the northernmost portion of the fire. So I'm going to go ahead and push the shot in here. That's going to be the home off of Queensboro Lane. As we were mentioning before during our interview with Margaret Stewart, brush clearance is so important when it comes to a fire like this, and that home right at the top off of Queensboro Lane does in fact have some great brush clearance, and as a result we have not seen that home be jeopardized in this fire, although it has burned extremely close to that home. Again, this is a fire burning just off of the 405 freeway, just on the east side of the freeway near Mulholland. We have also also been talking about whether this is affecting the Getty Center. So I'm going to go ahead and move the shot over to the opposite side of the freeway. The Getty Center is located on the west side of the 405, and I can tell you I've been keeping an eye on it just to see what the status of it is, and I can show it to you there. At this point, it does not appear to be affected by the fire. It's on the opposite side of the freeway. We have not heard about the fire jumping the freeway, but like we saw in Ventura County yesterday, fires do have the capability of jumping over freeways, and hopefully that does not happen here over the 405.
All right, Eliana, thanks so much. It is just about